So we have reports on the ground that the Taliban are turning away people at their own kind of impromptu checkpoints, if you will. So what guidance is the U.S. giving to the Taliban about who they should be letting through to the airport? And then in terms of folks getting to the airport, if there's an Afghan who shows up and hasn't been alerted that they should show up at the airport, but they're, at some stage in the SIV or P2 process, are they going to be allowed to get on these flights, or do they have to have received that notification from state to get on an evacuation flight?
So our message about safe passage is more than just our message. It is a message that the Taliban and the international community have now heard in the exact same verbiage from more than 100 countries. I think right now it's 112 countries. And the wording in there speaks to safe passage for civilians.
I'm not talking about the message. I'm talking about what you're telling the Taliban about who should get through and
what
who
we are
shouldn't.
telling them is that civilians should be afforded safe passage.
Any civilian.
Civilians.
So they should let anyone go through to the airport.
Civilians should be afforded safe passage. No one's movements, whether it's in Kabul or anywhere else, should be restricted. Safe passage is important for all civilians in Afghanistan. It is
Talking about to the airport, not talking about going down to the corner market to get some.
I understand that.
milk.
What we have been doing is, and this is the joint statement. The joint statement makes clear that those in a position of power and authority across Afghanistan who bear responsibility and accountability for the protection of human life and property and for the immediate restoration of security and civil order. Those in positions of power bear responsibility for the protection of human life and property.
So you want the Taliban to leave the streets anywhere close to the airport, because if they're preventing people from getting to the airport, they should just leave.
Safe passage should not be impeded. We have, for our part, we have been sending very specific and direct messages to those we will be in a position to relocate.
Okay.
Private American citizens, SIVs, and other vulnerable Afghans. But our message again to all of those who may be in a position to be relocated by the United States is that they should not come to the airport unless and until they receive a specific message from the embassy that they should consider doing so.
Just
I believe the Deputy Secretary said
Go ahead.
that the United States would use every diplomatic, economic, and political tool to ensure that safe passage. She did not mention any military tool, which I believe is a condition of making sure that Americans can get to the airport. So is there any kind of assurances that Afghans can have that the United States will ensure their safe passage to the airport via military action?
We have made very clear to the Taliban, first in Doha, more recently on the ground in Afghanistan, that any effort to target, to intimidate, to inflict violence on our people, or to impede our operations.
We're being Americans, not
Correct.
not Afghans.
Correct. American operations, the operations that we are undertaking right now to relocate, yes, American citizens, but also the broader categories of vulnerable Afghans, that will be met with a swift and decisive response. We've made that very clear.
There's another problem